People in Multnomah County may be just 2 weeks and 2 days from a haircut, but the county's still got a lot of work to do before they can enter phase 1. As for hiring more contact tracers,
how many people that fit all those criteria are out there?
Let me know when you find them.
it's a lot harder than it sounds. And Portland looks abroad for inspiration on how to reopen restaurants on the street. Abroad to magical cities like Paris, France, and, Cincinnati, Ohio. I'm just kidding. Cincinnati's a great town. I mean, it's no Cleveland. And I think I said something last night about the employment department that got some of you a little fired up.
I don't really agree.
Oh, yeah, that. We're going to talk about that. Here's this story.
Hey, how's it going? I'm Dan Haggerty. Welcome to The Story. We got a lot to talk about tonight. I had some people tell me last night they're never going to watch me again. Well, I'm calling your bluff and I'm addressing your concerns tonight. I know you're still watching. I can address your concerns too. Anybody, really. Just reach out, email us, Facebook us, Instagram, Twitter. Just make sure to use that hashtag, HeyDan. All right, let's start with the big news of the day. There is a hopeful date right now for Multnomah County to enter phase 1 of reopening. I say hopeful because, of course, things can change, just like they did in Clark County. They were supposed to enter phase 2, but then there was that outbreak at Firestone Pacific Foods that set them back. We'll talk more about that soon. So it's understandable, though, that Oregon's most populous county wants to kind of keep its guard up. That said, here's what we're looking at. The county wants to apply by June 5th. That's next Friday. And then hopefully we can enter phase 1 by June 12th, which is the Friday after that. That means every single county in Oregon is either in phase 1 or on the path to be in phase 1. So there's a chance in 2 weeks and 2 days, Portlanders, you can finally get a haircut. Now, one of the key criteria in Multnomah County, and really every county that they have to meet to even apply for phase 1, was hiring enough of those contact tracers. Man, that's a phrase that few of us were ever familiar with pre-pandemic. So for reference, here's exactly what a contact tracer does, how it works. Every time a person tests positive for COVID-19, their results get sent to the county health department. Contact tracers then, within 24 hours, call that infected person and ask them about their life over the past couple of weeks, where they've been, who they've spent time with, and then contact tracers call all of those people to warn them that they may have been exposed. See, the whole goal is to get people to quarantine if they have to try and stop the spread of the virus. Now, each county was given a number of minimum amount of contact tracers that they had to hire before they could reopen. Those numbers were based largely on population, so logically, Multnomah County's is the highest. They need 122 of these people, or 15 for every 100,000 people. But today, county officials said they've only hired about half that. And other big counties have done the same, coming in way under their totals. And the governor is still letting them open up anyway. Maggie Vespa wanted to find out, well, why that is, and why they can't hire people more quickly, especially since so many people want the job.
In the age of dodging robocalls, a pandemic provides a big reason to pick up.
Answering the phone and answering the questions is extremely helpful for us.
Julie Albers is the public health director for Clackamas County, and that means she oversees the county's team of contact tracers, a team she's been scrambling to build since Oregon Governor Kate Brown earlier this month made it a requirement to reopen. Statewide, interest in the job spiked, and several counties, including Clackamas, have started directing the wave of resumes to this interest form on the Oregon Health Authority's website. According to the state, nearly 4,000 people have filled it out.
Because I've been overwhelmed with applications, but I haven't counted them. They all go in a file folder.
Albers puts it that way, not because she's not grateful that people want to help, and not because she doesn't understand that people need work. She gets those things. She puts it that way because she says the work of a contact tracer, whose pay starts at $24 an hour, is highly specialized. In fact, on their website, Clackamas County has a job listing saying they're looking for medical professionals with experience in epidemiology, skills in interviewing and customer service. And in particular, they want to hire people who are bilingual or have experience communicating with people in vulnerable populations.
That sounds like a unicorn. Like how many people that fit all those criteria are out there?
Let me know when you find them.
She's only half joking. On Tuesday, Clackamas County had 24 people working various shifts to fill 17 full-time contact tracing jobs. 17 out of the 63 Governor Brown originally said they had to have on board. It's a tactic Oregon's most populous counties are leaning on with the governor's permission. According to the Portland Tribune, Clackamas, Washington, and Multnomah County chairs worked out a deal with the governor's office earlier this month. Basically, the original amounts of contact tracers assigned to those bigger counties were worst case scenario numbers. It's the number they would need to have if their coronavirus cases spiked. So because the work is so specialized, because training takes time and money, and because right now there aren't enough cases to warrant dozens and dozens of contact tracers, counties are filling the jobs slowly while submitting plans as to how they would beef up ranks if need be. Those plans need to show that counties could follow up on 95% of new cases within 24 hours of those cases being reported. For Clackamas County, that plan leans heavily on
a relationship with a local nursing school. So we're taking their student nurses as well as some of their graduate nurses to be able to fill those roles. We're moving some other internal county folks into public health.
So who's doing this work in the meantime? AKA, who fits this description?
That sounds like a unicorn.
My name is Perry Cabot.
Perry Cabot is a contact tracer for Multnomah County, but he's not a new hire. For years, he's run the county's lead poisoning prevention program, and he was a big part of the public health response to the 2016 drinking water crisis in Portland public schools, meaning Cabot has experience following up on positive tests for a frightening health condition, and he has experience investigating the source. One of the biggest reasons this job is so tough, he says, these days, phone scams and identity theft are very real concerns. People worry about their privacy, especially when they get a call from the government asking about their health.
The delicate balance of being a contact tracer is both signaling to the people you're calling that you understand their concerns for privacy and their need for privacy, and you also understand that there's a real benefit to getting the information from the individual that you're talking to, because this is a medically, scientifically, proven technique for limiting the movements and spread of a virus like this.
Okay, Maggie Vespa joining us now. So that privacy note, that is really a big concern for people.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, even one of our coworkers this morning asked me about this, just saying, so basically, contact tracers, AKA the county, can kind of out you to like your friends and your coworkers, family, people you've been around as this possible source of infections. And the answer is only if you out yourself to the county. This is all on good faith. You're not legally required to talk to contact tracers from the county, but they really hope you do, because as you heard in that piece, they say it's a proven method to kind of stop the spread of these infections. And Julie from Clackamas County, who you heard from in the piece, said multiple times, if you're sick, you're not in trouble. They're just trying to get you to help them stop the spread of the virus. And one more important note, by the way, because I got asked this on social media, they want to know who you've spent more than 15 minutes being around. They're not asking every single person that you passed in the grocery store. They want to know who you spent some time with over the last couple of weeks. So that usually narrows it down for people.
That's a good point. Let's talk about where we are right now in the whole sense of progress. So the county is saying that they have about half of the contact tracers they needed. I believe they needed about 122 or something like that to be able to enter phase one, at the beginning of all this. Where does that put us right now with half?
Yeah, so we just heard that in the press release or the press conference today. So the county basically said they're working, or they told me earlier, they're working with OHSU's medical school, bringing in some students to help them fill these jobs. They also do have listings on their website. So if you do think you're qualified and you want to help out, there's no harm in applying there. OHA, the Oregon Health Authority, did send us a statement saying they are monitoring these counties to make sure they're able to keep up with any possible spikes. And they also note they kind of have, it's interesting, like a bench of contact tracers that can jump in, go to any county and help if they fall behind in the situation where there is a spike and they can't get people on board and trained fast enough. So there's kind of like a backup there, but they want these counties to be self-sufficient for sure.
Interesting. Makes sense. Maggie, thank you so much.
Sure.
Now, I mentioned in the beginning something about Clark County not being able to enter phase 2 in Washington yet. They were close. We even reported last week that they were on track to do so. But that was before more than a third of the employees at a Vancouver fruit processing plant tested positive for for COVID-19. That's 70 workers at the Firestone Pacific Foods. 93 other workers, they tested negative, but they still haven't tested some people, so we really don't know the exact total right now. Regardless, it's an outbreak, and we heard from their CEO about it today.
Yeah, we could have done better. And, you know, I think through this process, we learned that we didn't do enough. And I sure hope that through our experience, which obviously has been very painful for many, that others will learn from it.
Now, one of the stipulations for counties to advance to the next phase is to keep down the number of new COVID-19 cases. So Clark County's application for phase 2 was thrown out because of this, and there's no word when they're going to be able to reapply. Now, we don't want to suggest at all that this one business was doing something wrong. In fact, at the press conference today, Firestone's CEO, you heard him talk there pretty frankly, said that they were practicing social distancing, they were taking people's temperatures, they were wearing masks, and all of that was before the first positive test. See, the fact is, a lot of places that require workers to be in those tight quarters, they're cesspools for this virus. You've seen the headlines across America. Meatpacking plants have been hot spots. Of course, nursing homes and VA hospitals, prisons, all areas of close living that a virus like COVID-19 really can thrive in. I mean, just today, the OHA announced 41 new cases in Multnomah County alone. Yes, the same Multnomah County that just announced they want to enter phase 1. Where was the outbreak? Well, the answer is tonight's quote of the day from the Oregon Health Authority. They told us it was at specific locations of a business that operates in the Tri-County region and Willamette Valley. See, that clears it all up. And yes, we did ask them to clarify. They wouldn't, but they did say that there's no sign that the outbreak poses any kind of risk to surrounding communities, you know, whatever those surrounding communities are. Then again, if you are in any specific risk, I'm sure one of those newly trained contact tracers will be giving you a call. Now, see, the thing is, we're also sitting here and waiting to see if any of the governor's orders to stay at home really even stay in place. That decision will likely fall to the Oregon Supreme Court. Now, we got a bit of an update on that case yesterday. Remember the judge in Baker County who struck down the governor's order? Well, yesterday he responded to the Oregon Supreme Court, which intervened here to keep the governor's order in place for now. And the High Court told that judge to either throw out his order or explain his decision. And the judge wrote this letter saying basically, I'm not budging. So for now, the order from the Supreme Court stands, and the Oregon Supreme Court will keep accepting legal briefs from both sides until June 2nd. And then they're going to make a decision. When that happens, it's anyone's guess, but of course, we will let you know. So few businesses are as desperate to open back up as restaurants. I mean, just this week, we found out 5 popular Portland restaurants are shutting down, including Nel Centro downtown. They just couldn't bounce back from all this. Now the city is trying to get creative to keep the surviving ones afloat. Socially distant outdoor dining. Starting tomorrow, restaurants and other businesses, they can apply for permits to expand into the sidewalk and street with their dining. And yes, once Multnomah County enters phase 1, that could happen right here in Portland too. And the owners who we talked to about this idea really seem to like it.
We would love the idea to have Belmont like Europe. Most of Europe, they have straight clothes with all sidewalk patio restaurants, so that's a great idea.
Speaking of that, here's something that we think is worth your time. The Oregonian has a story about how outdoor dining could make us start to look like Paris or Athens or Barcelona or apparently Cincinnati, Ohio. Enjoying the spacious outdoor patio of my favorite restaurant with a hot plate of noodles, smothered with Cincinnati chili, raw onions, and pre-shredded store-bought cheddar. Hashtag summer goals. I guess Cincinnati has figured out a pretty good way to do some outdoor seating plans there. So good, in fact, that the city councilor in Bend has been talking to them about how to make some more room on their sidewalks for tables and such. Oh, and if you've never heard of Cincinnati chili, it's an acquired taste. Yes, it is served over spaghetti. I recommend it with oyster crackers and after no fewer than 3 beers.
A lot of you had thoughts about our story yesterday about the employment department taking Memorial Day off despite facing a 38,000 case backlog. Like, get the facts and be better. Well, get those tweets drafted because the head of Oregon's employment department testified before the legislature today. And that's what we're talking about when the story continues.
Welcome back. Keep reaching out to us on email at thestory@kgw.com. You can message me on Facebook or Instagram or use Twitter and the hashtag HeyDan. I say that every night, and I will say last night, a lot of you took me up on the offer. Dan said, I know it brings more viewers to diss a state office, but you stopped at a new low. Marcia said, you have moved from professional news reporting to Fox News Entertainment. Ross said, maybe you do not understand how Oregon works. And John said, I'm very sad and disappointed. All of this because I criticized the employment department for taking a long weekend over Memorial Day. I mean, call me crazy, but having the entire office on a holiday during a crisis with hundreds of thousands of Oregonians waiting weeks and months for money during the most important time in the department's history, I don't know, it just didn't sit right with me. If you didn't see the coverage last night and you want to check it out, it's on my Facebook page and our KGW YouTube channel. Now, a lot of people out there thought that I was attacking the workers, which I wasn't, or at least I didn't intend to make it sound like I was. An anonymous viewer said the person who answers the phone is just a regular worker bee and not the one responsible for the serious decisions of management. I know that. I definitely know that. I guess I just wasn't clear enough about that last night, so I'm sorry. But I do want to be clear about what that day off meant to the people waiting for money. People who haven't seen a cent since they were forced to stay home. People like Anna, who we interviewed last week.
It's just, I feel like we're all in the twilight zone. But it's like, you know, I feel like I work hard, I pay my taxes, unemployment takes money out of our checks, and they should help. You know, they should help. It's not like we want to be unemployed. We're kind of forced to be unemployed right now. So I think we should get help. Or, you know, just to get the resources that we need. And I feel bad. I want to put this out there. I don't blame the unemployment people because I know they're stretched. But it's like, we got to do something.
Anna's not a mean person. She's not a spiteful person. But she's had to move in with a friend because of all this. She had to go on food stamps. She spends her last remaining dollars on gas to go get food and to spend money on stamps to send letters to the employment office. She's been waiting since mid-March for her money, and it's almost June. She's in pain, and there's no holiday from that. Though I am sure when she eventually gets her money, it's going to feel like Christmas morning. And that said, the employment department tells us Santa is on his way. Things are getting better. Director Kay Erickson testified to a legislative committee today and spent over an hour using PowerPoint to explain a lot of things that we've actually been reporting to you over the past few weeks. And I will say, listen, and I've been saying this all along, considering what they've been up against, they have been doing some really great work.
Like unemployment agencies across the nation, we were not ready for the incredible and unprecedented workload we encountered over the last several weeks. To our customers, I know in these uncertain times, waiting for confirmation of your unemployment benefits can be agonizing.
Claims went from an all-time low to an all-time high in just a matter of days. Right now, the employment department handles twice as many claims every day than they were handling per week prior to the crisis. Think about that. They have 6 times the staff right now compared to the start of COVID, and they have processed 91% of the 400,000 plus claims they've received since mid-March. Though I will say, having your claim processed and getting your money is 2 different things. I think some people have been confused about these statistics. While 9 out of 10 people are on track to get paid, only about half of them have actually seen a check. And that doesn't even count the PUA people for benefits on self-employed people. That's a brand new system, and that's even further behind. So right now, as of today, hundreds of thousands of people have still not seen a dime. Now, here's what's going to be starting this week on Friday. The employment department will have more people making outbound calls to resolve some problems with your claim. So answer the phone. They're also going to have some more people answering their phones. So keep calling. And they're going to have a chat bot on the website to direct you to answers that you can find online. The legislative committee is going to organize some questions and meet with them again on Friday, and they will answer those questions Friday, and we'll continue to tell you what they say. That said, let's take a second and circle back to that day off. We asked the department why they took the holiday, and they still haven't responded. Probably because they don't have time to bicker about this, and that's fine. Just because I'm critical doesn't mean I'm malicious or lack common sense. But some people are, and some people do. We learned today that there have been 3 reports filed by employees who felt threatened by callers. The director described one against her and a colleague that she called a credible death threat. Now they're hiring private security to keep people safe. If you're upset with the system, that's okay. That's fine. But I'll end the segment tonight by echoing a very important phrase from a viewer. The employees there are doing their best, like the rest of us.
Hey everybody, I'm Pitino. You probably have heard that the big launch from Kennedy Space Center today, carrying the SpaceX rocket and the Crew Dragon, test flight got canceled. Why? Because of weather. Got postponed actually till Saturday at 12:22 p.m. Portland time. But this was the scene down in Florida today at Cape Canaveral and Kennedy Space Center. There was a lot of weather going on, and NASA, as you might expect, has pretty strict protocol for the weather they will allow to be within any distance of the launch pad in order to get a launch off. Because when you have lightning around, as they did today, and you have highly sensitive electronic equipment that you can't fix because, oh, I don't know, it's going to be in space in a couple hours, you want to get it right. So they're calling this an awesome wet dress rehearsal. Why wet? Because they had liquid propellants, that's fuel, on board, which they hadn't done a dress rehearsal with that yet. So they actually got the fuel back off, got the astronauts off, and they're going to wait again until Saturday, as I said. So it is interesting. But if you're wondering, what are the weather criteria that NASA was looking at that led to the scrub of the launch? Well, I've got those for you right now as we look at the graphics. There was rain. In fact, the astronauts had rain on their windows as they were sitting up there. And there are cumulonimbus clouds. Those are those big, tall ones that develop really high into the sky with anvils. Now, why is that important? Well, the cumulonimbus clouds mean there's a lot of upward vertical motion in the clouds. You can get a lot of wind shear. That's what the anvils are talking about, and just the fact that those storms were so well developed. Then, of course, lightning. There is an incredible lightning detection and prevention network at Kennedy Space Center in NASA, the best in the world, actually, because they really keep track of this. And if there's any lightning within 12 miles, naturally occurring lightning, then they say, forget it, we're not going to do the launch. So that was also happening. And then finally, this is perhaps the most interesting one. There was actually something they call field mill data. That was too much of that. Basically what that is, it's measuring the amount of electricity in the atmosphere, not lightning, the amount of electrical charge in the atmosphere, and that was too heavy too. So again, all of those things conspired to scrub the launch today. I'm going to show you one more picture here. If this was in 2016, I was at Kennedy Space Center. That's the vertical integration building behind me there. I did Facebook Live on there for the launch of the GOES-R weather satellite. It is an incredibly impressive place to be, and I learned firsthand about that lightning detection and prevention network that they have. As a meteorologist, it was super mind-blowing, Dan, to see all that down there. And of course, it worked today. They'll try again on Saturday. Back to you.
I can't wait to see the launch. They have a camera in the cockpit there showing the astronauts as they go up into space. It's going to be amazing, but I think everybody wants the safest and most responsible launch possible, so we get it. We'll wait. Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it. Hey, we're going to read some comments after the break. Pick up your phone. Use that hashtag #HeyDan. You don't need to agree with everything I say. Let's have a conversation. Hey, and we're going to keep Portland weird by taking quarantine banana bread baking to the next level when we finish the story.
Everyone gets stuck in traffic right in front of our building. So we're like, let's give them something to smile about.
Keeping Portland weird by acknowledging the effect that it's had on time and on all of us, including, bananas. You might have seen the ever-darkening mural made out of Post-it notes on the east side of the Burnside Bridge. This is on the windows of the company OMFG Co. And yes, I know what OMFG stands for. It stands for Original Manufacturing. What do you think it stood for? The pandemic hit when the bananas were super black, so like most people spending a lot of time in quarantine, they just made banana bread. Why not? If you see something out there keeping Portland weird or, anything else, show it to us. Reach out, send us a pic, send us a video, send us pictures of your banana bread. I don't care. Hashtag #HeyDan or email us at thestory@kgw.com. We're reading comments right now, still getting a lot about the employment department and my take on them taking Memorial Day off. Let's move on. I think we're done. We've covered it for 2 days. They're moving on. They got a lot of work to do. People need to get their money. Let's go ahead and do that instead. Thanks for being with us tonight. We appreciate it as always. We'll have other stuff to bicker about tomorrow. But for now, let's enjoy the evening. See you back here tomorrow.